In this WrestleTalk news, the CM Punk All Out story is a lie, AEW want MJF face turn, and Sami Zayn Bloodline plans revealed, and loads more, so subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Well, scissor me timbers. Who would have thought to start the year that the biggest catchphrase in all of wrestling would be, scissor me, daddy ass? And there goes the monetization. Right off the bat. Despite that whole thing being over like Rover, not everyone backstage at AEW actually understands quite what it's alluding to. Speaking on a recent episode of his Arn podcast, Arn Anderson admitted that while he doesn't understand the scissoring craze, he's just happy if the kids are happy. He said, well, I guess when Billy Gunn went on board, all of us old bastards that had to go, I don't get that, had to relent and went, hey, that's working. I don't know what it means, I don't want to know what it means, but if Billy Gunn at 270 pounds of muscle decides that it's a cool thing, who am I to argue? Just Google it, Arn. What could possibly go wrong? Type the words scissoring and ass into Google, it'll be fine. I promise you. Just write scissoring daddy ass in the little box, hit enter, and see what comes up. No, safe search doesn't need to be on. Why would it? Do it. Do it. Anyway, it's always good to open the news running with scissors. But now it's time for some serious news, because the fallout from the all-out brawl continues apace, as we mentioned in yesterday's episode. The latest update was from Punk's camp, who reportedly claimed via Wrestling Inc.'s Nick Hausman that Punk only started the melee because the Bucks kicked the door into his dressing room and it hit his dog Larry in the face. Now, there have been conflicting reports over the truth behind this story, with some pundits adamant that it is real, while Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio has been the one debunking it. Dave noted that he has heard stories from both sides in the weeks since the incident, and neither had mentioned anything about the dog until recently. He also reported that multiple sources had told him the story is a complete fabrication. He said, anyway, multiple eyewitnesses said the dog story was a total fabrication. If it was true, the end of the investigation would have been that Punk would be the one staying. And because, yeah, if this was in fact true, it would entirely recontextualize what happened backstage that night, and as Meltzer rightly pointed out, there wouldn't necessarily be a reason to have sat on this information for weeks at this point. Because as it stands, Punk is expected to leave AEW at the conclusion of this whole investigation, and the company are looking into a contract buyout, with non-compete clauses being the main issue, according to reports. According to reports. One person whose big return at All Out was overshadowed by this entire affair was MJF, who has not exactly done him much harm since. In fact, despite AEW trying to position him as a top heel, the fan base are just cheering for him non-stop. And according to Brian Alvarez on Wrestling Observer Live, the company might be prepared to face-turn the star, as there are those backstage who strongly believe MJF should now be a babyface going forward, considering the fan reaction. Alvarez said that some even believe that he has the potential to be a generational babyface in the wrestling biz. Why he would do that, I don't know. He's a very good heel. It was said that AEW creative remained conflicted about going all the way with an MJF face turn, but recently he has stopped coming out before tapings to disparage the hometown crowd to get heat during the show, and there are ideas being floated about the firm betraying MJF on Dynamite as part of an elaborate swerve, so the pieces are falling into place. Now, Dave Meltzer has previously noted, though, that MJF prefers to remain heel, though, so we'll have to see what happens. Let us go now across the barricade to WWE, where Sami Zayn continues to be one of the best things in all of wrestling. But according to Sami, though, the honorary Uce was only really meant to be a ceremonial position and not something that we saw week in and week out on TV. Speaking with Mirror Sport, he said the angle has gone far beyond what was originally planned. He said, "This is one of the more filled out long-term stories I've ever been a part of, and it's long even by WWE standards. Usually we might do 2 or 3 month stories, but I've been aligned with the Bloodline in some respects since April, and we're still only kind of scratching the surface as to where this is going to go." The initial idea was to just have some on-screen interactions every now and again, because it made sense as a self-proclaimed locker room leader, I should have a good rapport with the head of the table, so we were kind of cooking up that idea. Now he says that he has no idea where the whole thing ends, though many fans have been speculating that it will all come to a head at Elimination Chamber 2023 in Montreal, ideally with Zayn versus Roman Reigns. Speaking of long-term storylines, Austin Theory still has a hold of that Money in the Bank briefcase. Now, that might be because there have been no distinct plans for him, or because the change in regime at WWE kind of bumped his priority level down a few notches because he was a Vince McMahon favourite and Triple H has his own toys to play with. But it appears that plans be a-brewing about how to have Theory cash in, and they want it to be completely unique. That's according to WrestleVotes, who revealed what they know in an interview with Give Me Sport. They said, there is an idea that he is the first guy to wait a full year, like the day of, or let's say, night of Money in the Bank next year. That's the storyline, like, you have to cash this in 2.5 hours. You have to cash this in 90 minutes. That type of thing. I know that idea is on the table. What do you guys reckon? Do you think that could work? I mean, Theory has teased going after Roman Reigns' undisputed Universal Championship and also cashing in for the NXT title too, though his recent spat of losses on Raw suggests that he won't be using that briefcase anytime soon. So this plan might actually be a good one. Also not happening anytime soon is a Bloodline versus Brawling Brutes feud, as on SmackDown the Usos, Sami and Solo Sikoa, say that 10 times fast, broke Sheamus' arm, writing him off of TV for a while. Now, according to PW Insider, Sheamus has actually been written off television because he's getting married this weekend. So congratulations to Sheamus and his soon-to-be wife. But do ideally come back soon and give us that match with the Bloodline, because I really want to watch that. And that's what's important here, what I want. Now, Tommaso Ciampa has been glaringly absent from WWE TV since early September, seemingly vanishing while in the midst of a feud between Dexter Lumis and Ciampa's on-screen bestie, The Miz. Explain that relationship in the Triple H world. Explain it. Now, while The Miz has brought this fact up on TV in recent weeks, it was clarified on this week's Raw by Ciampa's real-life bestie, Johnny Gargano, that he was actually at home with an injury. And now, courtesy of a post on Ciampa's Instagram page, we have some clarity on his current health status. Ciampa revealed that not only was he injured, he has also just undergone hip surgery for a torn labrum that he stated resembled shredded cheese prior to the op. Thankfully, the surgery was seemingly a success and Ciampa can now begin his road to recovery. However, it is yet another unfortunate setback for the Blackheart, who has had a few, more than his fair share really, of nasty injuries to his neck and ACL in recent years. There's also not been a timeline for his recovery given by either Ciampa or WWE, but hopefully his return is not too far off. And we at WrestleTalk would like to wish Tommaso all the best in his recuperation. Now, while it initially seemed that WWE and NJPW are playing ball regarding Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson, WWE's actions have said otherwise, because they proceeded to double book Anderson for November 5th's Crown Jewel on the same night as his never openweight title defense at the Battle Autumn event in Japan. Now, Anderson seemingly sided with WWE and stated that he would not be appearing at Battle Autumn, and according to reports since, this decision left NJPW President Takami Obari furious, threatening to vacate his title if he didn't appear. Now, while this has all been admittedly very juicy, is there a chance that we've all actually been worked, brother? Because according to a new report from Fightful Select, there is reportedly little real animosity between NJPW, WWE, and Anderson, with all parties said to be working together behind the scenes, and WWE still intends to allow Gallows and Anderson to fulfill their obligations. Now, I'm not quite sure how Anderson plans to be in Riyadh and Osaka simultaneously, but I can tell you that would be pretty impressive. Holograms, that's my pitch, holograms. No wait. Any other bald wrestler. I'll do it for you, Karl. I'll do it. I'll go to Osaka. It's Friday. You know what that means. It is time to check in with those AEW Dynamite ratings. And it's good news for TK because things have picked up significantly compared to last week's rather disappointing 752,000 viewers. Because according to Showbuzz Daily, this week's edition has jumped all the way up to an average of 997,000 viewers. So close to that sweet million. Now, the number saw Dynamite placed 5th overall in the key 18 to 49 demo with a 0.32 overall rating. That is also up from last week's 0.26, showing that the low figure last week was admittedly a bit of an anomaly, considering AEW's shift from their usual slot on Wednesday to Tuesday as the result of the MLB playoffs. And with Full Gear approaching, TK will no doubt be looking to continue that momentum and hit that million come next week. Knocked it out of the park. I think that's a baseball reference. And finally, some time for some truly wonderful news. As announced on his Grilling JR podcast, current AEW commentator, good old JR, is officially cancer-free and in the late stages of his recovery. Now, this news comes almost exactly a year on from JR breaking the news about his diagnosis. And while he says he still suffers pain in the affected area, he is well and truly in the healing process of his journey at this point in time. He said, "In any event, life is good. I'm alive. I have no cancer, and I'm just healing these burns." And that's what they are. And here's the thing, while JR's on-screen role in AEW has slowed down slightly as of late, his longevity and perseverance to continue work despite these numerous personal challenges is remarkable. He truly is a legend. Congratulations, Jim.
He will make AEW money if you bring it back. I don't think that matters. And I know from a business perspective, of course, making money matters. CM Punk is a toxic presence in the AEW locker room.